Welcome back to PommyInOz, and we've got a ripper here. We're looking at one of the big news media articles at the minute. Kane Cornes versus North Melbourne versus the AFL. Yes, North Melbourne have decided instead of showing fight on the field, they're taking on the world. Is it just a catalyst to try and spark something at Arden Street? Or is it just silly little boy games? It's a real interesting one. We're going to deep dive into this and take a look. So obviously the incident with Paul Curtis kind of was the catalyst for this. A 3-game ban for this tackle.
This is another one where they've just extrapolated, and we've ended up with a disaster. 3 weeks for a tackle.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
A dangerous tackle that knocked Josh Sin out.
Tackle.
So tonight the AFL argued it was dangerous because Curtis pinned Sin's arms because he didn't prevent Sin's head from hitting the ground.
And obviously from that, where do we think? Obviously, this is a whole new conversation. You know me, I'm quite adamant on this, that I think we should be punishing the action, not the outcome. The Matrix is cooked at the AFL. We know this when anyone tries to explain it, whether it's Laura Kane, whether it's Christiansen himself. It makes no sense. And Michael Christian was faced in this order here to either give 3 games or 0 games. It's an absolute ridiculous matrix. For me, the way that I could best describe it to someone normal is it's like drink driving, right? It's either the cops arrest you potentially for killing someone, or they arrest or they let you go scot-free. Obviously, that's not the case. There's tiers. If you did run into someone and kill them, you would have the charge of drink driving on top of the fatality on the road. It's kind of a clear concept, the law, but in the AFL it's different. I personally think it's a week max. It is a football action. He obviously could have protected the head and turned him. He has a 0.2 seconds to react. But then the players reacted like this. Now, I'm all for banter. I thought Luke Parker's one was absolutely hilarious. It made me chuckle. It really did. But then when you've got Paul Curtis changing that, I feel like then we dwell on the rules of kind of like we're almost becoming a bit juvenile. For me, it's almost a bit whinging. And I know that's Richard Pom saying about whinging, but for me, I didn't really like the optics of Paul Curtis doing that, especially when the club has come out and accepted the fine. Now, is that fine acceptance because of what they're paying on the soft cap? We'll never really know. They said that they couldn't quite get it legally revoked, which is fair enough. But again, this brings back the point that obviously North Melbourne, in my opinion, have been unfairly targeted for the 3-game. I think 3 games for Paul Curtis, it's stupid. It is stupid. It should be a week, I think, in max. And I think most people agree with that. But then they had the Sheezel gate, as we're calling it. And Kane Cornes, as always, came out and said this.
And what about Sheezel? He had a better game. He had 30 possessions. Are you confident that's turning in the right direction?
I don't know if he did have a better game. I'm actually a little bit concerned. I've spoken about this probably for the last month with Harry Sheezel. So let's look at some of the numbers in terms of his ball-winning ability. So he's 4th in the comp for disposals, yet he's 17th for score involvements. Sheezy ball is what I'm calling it. Forget stat padding. He is getting the Sheezies. He is getting far too many Sheezies. He's not on Arden Street. He's on Sheezy Street, Hutchie. This is what he's doing. That is a Sheezy. That is what I'm calling a stat padding Sheezy straight up into the air. So 30 touches, 1 score involvement.
Now, on face value, I will always say this. I think people are entitled to their opinion. I think, was what he was saying factual? I think everything is contextual. When you look at score involvements, it's contextual. It's a stat that without context, you can hang someone or you can reward someone. When you actually break it down, because Harry Sheezel is responsible for over 22% of the scores that he's involved in. 22% of the score involvements come from Harry Sheezel, which when you actually look at their team, he's better than a lot of players in the league that we give a lot of kudos to. Do you know what I mean? Lipinski, Josh Kelly, he's in that purview of them. And when you actually think of it, it's 1 or 2 more score involvements a week from him will get him into, you know, the Bailey Smith range, the Isaac Heaney stage, the Scott Pendlebury stage. He's only like 1.8 score involvements per game down on them. You've also got to put into account that Luke Hodge said this, and I think Luke Hodge counter-argued this the best way that I could have thought of by saying this.
As he's saying, he's been put in a position because he's a really good kicker. A lot of the good kicks are off the
Wanganeen,
half-back
Miller
line.
and Sheezel
But
play a similar position.
hang on, you're rating the score involvements. If you're playing across half-back, you're relying on the rest of your team to get there. The amount of times I've seen the ball go inside 40, inside 50 that he started, but it hasn't converted to a score because of the lack of talent in that forward line, and then you fall back onto him. So you look at those numbers there, I'd say what you were saying last night is probably a bit harsh, and it was more of
It wasn't a bit
headline
harsh.
reach.
It was ridiculous.
And I couldn't agree with Luke Hodge more. He's also rolling at halfback. He's playing in a team that at the minute are impotent at scoring. And that's not on Harry Sheezel. I think if you look at what Sheezel's doing, he linked him to Nasir Wanganeen-Moera. I think totally different when you look at Nas. He's definitely having some half-forward time as well. He's usually floating forward when St Kilda have the ascendancy. At times, Sheezel is there smashing the ground ball get, doing the tough stuff as well. And what I really did enjoy by this was Harry Sheezel's response to it himself.
Yeah, it's been a big couple of days after what Kane said. Look, to be honest, Kane's entitled to his opinion at the end of the day. It's his role in the media to have his opinion. I can't really control that. He's entitled to say what he wants. Maybe it overstepped the boundary a bit too far, maybe, but look, the club has supported me really well, and the support that I've had from family and friends and my teammates has been incredible. And at the end of the day, I'm an AFL footballer. I've signed up for all the scrutiny that comes with it, and it has. I just wish it probably hadn't blown out as much as it has. It's become a like.
And to me, that says how you deal. If you were a child and you are wanting to know how you deal with criticism, how Harry Sheezel deals with it, I think, is another level of maturity, but also another adulthood, really adulthood. Sometimes people say things about you that is a little bit mean. Is it bullying? I really don't like this connotation of bullying. I think bullying is such a horrific word in 2025 that we instantly go down the realms of detriment to his personal safety, detrimental to his mental health. And I think when the way that Sheezel has answered that shows that he's taken it on board, he's disregarded it. Remember, an opinion is only hurtful if you validate it. And I think Harry Sheezel has handled that with a maturity that is way beyond his years. I'm 40 years old this year. I don't handle criticism as well as Harry Sheezel, so full credit to him. And I think what Sheezel went on to say, where he said that his team want him to have more uncontested, this is like when I hear people say about Nick Dacos, oh, he doesn't win contested marks. Why do you want a Rolls Royce doing that stuff? And the difference is Sheezel sometimes has to do that stuff because he is floated in a defensive half position. I think if you had Harry Sheezel playing for Collingwood, we would be having a conversation that Nick Dacos and Harry Sheezel are the best two players in the league, bar none, with the ball in their hand. So I think everything is contextual. It's really hard to do the figment of your imagination of, if I put this player here, what would happen? Because you never know. It's just all speculation. And this led us to these two statements. So Todd Viney made this statement.
On the back of some commentary that we feel has been, over my short time at the club, over nearly 2.5 years, there's been some real personal attacks on the club, vindictive attacks that we feel that have been unwarranted. We understand the role of the media and our role to work with the media to promote our game and to inform our members on stuff that's going on. But we believe some of the commentary from Kane, and particularly late earlier this week with a couple of our players, in Jai Simpkin and Harry Sheezel, overstepped the line. As I said, inappropriate, targeted, vindictive, bullying behaviour that we as a club won't stand for.
Now, I felt like when I was hearing this, my gut instinct was, everyone's saying the AFL has gone soft. Has North gone soft? If North put this kind of fight in the field when things aren't going their way, they probably wouldn't be in the situation they are in. Banning Kane Cornes and then alluding to that it's targeting, it's victimisation. Kane Cornes has had an opinion where he's backed it up with his fact. Now, when you have an opinion, I am a firm believer that you can't have an opinion without some substance. He has given you substance, and I've already said that I do think it's very contextual how he's worded his substance. He has definitely used some data that kind of validates his argument. He's brought in Nas, who's a 26% of scoring involvements to him, so 4%. That's not a lot, but it is quite a lot in footballing terms. He's had his opinion. Sheezy ball is probably the thing at Sheezy Street, them comments. Is that bullying? I don't really constitute it as bullying. I constitute it as juvenile, a little bit headline grabbing. And Luke Hodge said that as well. I agree with that, right? But then this created a statement from Paul Ruse, who is a mate of Todd Viney. And this is where it gets really bizarre.
Can't dismiss what Todd is saying. He's a really good guy, Todd. His players are pissed off. They're really pissed off. So there's a danger that if Kane walks in those rooms, that something physical may happen.
So you see there, the threats of violence, it's going to get physical. What are we doing here? If Kane Cornes goes into the room and someone lamps him over that statement, sweet geez Louise, we live in an era at the minute where I don't think anyone is entitled to an opinion unless it's opinion you want to hear. And if you are only in an echo chamber of love, you are never going to improve. Now, I think Kane Cornes should be looking at Connor Rosie, who is his blue-eyed boy, who at the minute is playing at halfback, getting easy touches. I think I would love him to do that. And I think that the thing with Kane is he chops and chooses who he's looking at, and that's it. The question here I've got for Paul Ruse is he's looked at overseas at other media entities. That's because overseas media is 10 times better than it is in Australia. We have this thing in AFL that it's our game, we're doing it, let's not change it, we're better than everyone else. Stephen A. Smith, he's universally hated, but he draws big numbers in America. And I haven't got anything against it. If Kane Cornes is going to be punched for his argument, why can't you take Harry Sheezel as an example? Fight it with fact. That's it. When the minute you stop talking about something is the minute that violence is replaced. That's the old school mentality. Have a conversation about it. I would love to see Harry Sheezel and Kane Cornes in a room have that debate. I'd love to see Alistair Clarkson and Kane Cornes have that debate. I think this is an opportunity here where we can learn about the nuance of player roles, because that's something that I pride myself on here. I don't kind of blanket a player by comparing him to another player. I kind of try and understand his role. And with Harry Sheezel's role at North, it's never going to be glitzy and glamorous, because at the minute they're in a hard place. So I think Sheezel is one of the hardest working players on that, who I think in an ideal world, Sheezel would love to be on the outside, having a bit of loose ball, driving it inside 50. It's one of them things, but at the minute, he's doing the team thing, sacrificing his game for the betterment of his boys. That shows leadership. That shows what a great player he is. And I have no doubt when we do these videos in 10 years' time and Harry Sheezel retires, we're talking about him in the ilks of one of the greats of the game. And hopefully he has a flag to his name. But that leads me on to North Melbourne. A team at the minute that I've been heavily critical of, that don't show enough fight on the field, that don't show enough impetus, enough adaptation. I feel like this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. This is one of them cases where if Sheezel speaks that well, put him out in front of the media, let him control the narrative, because Harry Sheezel, for me, did it in such a classy way that it made Kane Cornes look foolish and it made Harry Sheezel look strong. When you've got Viney coming out there, I felt that like a little bit whiny. I felt that like it was a minnow-type mentality of, we're hard done by, we're being victims of the media, and we're taking no accountability. You've just woke up this morning and said, let's potshot Jai Simpkin, let's potshot Harry Sheezel. But this is the normality of football. Jason Horne-Francis copped his abuse when he was at North Melbourne. Patrick Cripps, Adam Cherrer, Sam Walsh, They can cop the abuse when Carlton aren't doing very well. The same with Pendlebury. Nick Dacos was dragged through the absolute miller for round 0 by the media, saying it was his fault his team lost because he wasn't good enough. That is the nature of the industry we're in. And when you are a bottom 4 side who has made bold decisions, trading futures away for Jack Whitlock, and it's not quite, Matt Whitlock, and it's not quite working today, you are obviously going to come under cosh, and Harry Sheezel and Jai Simpkin are the 2 pillars of that team. I think you could question Larkey. I think you could question a lot of things, and I have done myself. But is it targeted harassment? I don't think it is, because I think in the media, he has said things there. I'm never one to defend Kane Cornes, but I said this in his top 50 players. When you offer an opinion with your own facts, that is okay. It is your job to counter that with intelligence and with your own facts. And somewhere in the middle, there will be the truth. So that's my opinion on it. I think if North go out there this week and lose by 40, I think we'll be proven right that it was foolish. I think if they win, yeah, okay, it's brilliant. But I felt like the way their players have reacted and the way that Viney has definitely come out and made that statement banning people from their Arden Street is the antithesis of we're in trouble, we're trying to deflect blame. Have a bit of an accountability and be strong in your messaging. I felt like that was just literally a woe is me like a day, and I expect to see a very abject performance tonight. Chat, let me know what you think. Have I missed the mark on this one? As always, I'm always open to a discussion. That was my interpretation. Let me know if you enjoy these types of videos. I would really like to get into this industry of going through the news and just offering my opinion. Let me know what you think. See you later, chat. Pom out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. We'll be right back.